Hello, welcome to Around Town with Rotary. My name is Mike Harrington. This monthly show highlights some of the people and the projects of the local Beverly Rotary Club. The Beverly Rotary Club has been around for over 100 years now. We have over 100 members, so welcome to today's show. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Al Temkin, and Al's going to introduce our special guests and our topic today.
Thank you, Mike. Welcome to Rick and Connor Mooney, friends of mine for many, many years. My insurance agents as well. But we do appreciate you being here and joining us today. So, going to ask you just a few questions, and Rick, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Just tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, what brought you to Beverly, all of that stuff.
Well, my parents originally my dad was from Woburn, my mom was from Salem. They moved here. We established our family here. I was born in 1962, literally across the street at Beverly Hospital. I grew up, married Joanna, and we have 3 children, Chris, Connor, and Juliana. 2 are married, Connor and Chris, and Juliana just recently got engaged. We're very excited about that.
Absolutely,
and
congratulations.
Again, we still live in Beverly. I've lived here my whole life. We work, live, and play here, and pretty boring, actually.
Boring is one thing I happen to know you're not.
Yeah.
I know that. You cannot be married to Joanna Mooney and be boring.
That's correct.
You can't be.
Yeah, we have a lot of
that
fun.
would not work,
We have a lot of fun.
Absolutely, you do. And Connor, same question. Just kind of a little bit about your background and all of that.
Yeah, so I was born in Beverly. This guy's my dad, and middle child of 3. And I went to Beverly High School right here. I can remember doing BevCam, so it's pretty cool, pretty full circle moment right now. So I went to college went to West Virginia University, transferred over to UMass, graduated, and then started in the family business pretty much right away. And now I live in Salem with a wife, and I have a dog and a cat. And again, a pretty boring but pretty happy life. Like. Not a extravagant person by any means, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, let's talk a little bit about business. Obviously, one of the topics of today's show is you guys are fathers and sons that both work together, and you're in Rotary together. So, those are interesting relationships. But Rick, tell us a little bit about you. What was your education, and did you always think you'd get involved in the family insurance business?
Well, it's interesting. I went to Beverly High School, then I went to Salem State. I was actually working. I graduated from Salem State. I was working at the Beverly Savings Bank at the time, and my dad had his office literally across the street from the Beverly Savings Bank on Cabot Street, and he says, Rick, do you want to come in? I'd like to chat with you for a bit. And I said, sure. So we had a wonderful conversation. He says, do you want to give the insurance a try and give it a year or so? And I says, yeah, I'd love to. And it was a great opportunity for me and obviously for my future family. And the rest is history. I'll be there 40 years this February. So it's been a great run. We've done some great things for the community. I've been very proud of what both the business has done for the community, myself, my sons, and our families have done. But it's been a win-win. In other words, when you live, work, and play in your town, you want to give back, and you really connect with people, and you want to make Beverly and your surrounding communities a better place. And that's always been in the back of my mind. That was ingrained in my head from my parents. Both my mom and my dad were very involved with the community, and they gave back in so many different ways. And I want to continue that legacy, and I think my kids and they understand it, and I'm very proud of what they've done in the community as well.
So you had great role models, and obviously you and Joanna have been great role models for your kids. Connor, flipping it over to you, what did you study when you were in school, and was it clear to you back in the day that you might likely get involved in the business, or did that kind of come up in a different way?
So I like to say that in the world of insurance, you get into it by one of 2 ways. You either stumble into it, or you're either born into it. And I was the latter. I was born into it. It wasn't the plan all along. I went to school for sports management and had a couple unpaid internships and whatnot that I just wasn't a fan of. I needed to make a pivot, and I know that there's a lot of pride that comes with the family business. I wasn't going to take it lightly by any means, and I approached Rick and I kind of asked him if there's an opening on the team, and he graciously let me on board, and I started just by basically sorting files and putting away files and kind of learn the business from the ground floor up, and it's been pretty rewarding to really see it from that process, from the very, very ground floor stages.
Well, good for you. So you know all the ins and outs,
Yeah.
all the jobs. That's great.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm just in my head. I'm thinking you go to your dad and say, "Hey, is there an opening?" And he says, "No." You know,
Sorry.
Yeah,
You're
go
right.
find your way.
Sports management, that's your career.
I was out of money too. I finished off my college career with a month-long Euro trip, and I had like $20 to my name. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have a lot of backup options.
That's too funny. I also want to mention, before I ask my next question, in terms of community involvement, you kind of quickly threw it in there, but the fact of the matter is, you need to know these people are amazing people relative to what they do in this community, much of which you don't know about, those of you that are watching this show, but I do know. And I want to thank you so much, because you're very, very generous people. You're a very generous agency. Now, in terms of the insurance agency, there's a lot of places in Beverly, like there is everywhere, to get insurance. Can you tell our audience, what is it that makes you unique? What is it that makes Sterling Insurance Agency unique and different than going to anybody else?
I think it's just the amount of time that we take to really dissect our clients' needs. I mean, insurance is a really important aspect. It's not just something that you need, it's something that is incredibly important. I mean, we've seen a lot of worst case scenarios, and we kind of have that worst case scenarios in the back of our mind. And we think, okay, how can we set this person up as best as we can to make sure that if they're in a life crisis, that we're kind of their safety net, because that's what insurance is there for. And just giving people the respect they deserve. You know, it's almost like a dying, not a dying breed, but it's a lost art. An insurance agency, where a lot of people think that you pay extra for an insurance agency, but in reality, it's the opposite. We're here to help keep the savings low and really protect what needs that any one person may have.
Mm-hmm. You want to add something there, Rick?
Yeah, I would add on that being available to people in their worst, sometimes most difficult situations, crises. I've gotten calls during the weekend, you know, my so-and-so got involved in an accident, or we have a fire. Just being there for people, get the ball rolling, really helping them get through the process, because it's such a stressful situation, usually, you know, especially with a claim situation. And I take a lot of pride in that. I know Joanna has witnessed, I've been in certain situations, and all of a sudden I drop everything. I try to help people, because I know at that moment in their lives that this is their moment that they need help. And that I take great pride in that. And Connor understands that. And I think as an agency, when people walk in, we want to make sure that they get service ASAP. And people come in, they're not always happy. They're paying bills, they're reporting a claim, and our staff does an amazing job helping assist and just really take care of their needs and make them feel comfortable. And that's the importance. I don't want anybody to feel like they're just calling up an 800 number and just getting the runaround or getting bopped from, you know, person to person. We want to make sure that people are being taken care of in a
Yep.
good
So you
way.
guys provide a lot of personal touch. That's great.
We do, yeah.
Hey, just about everybody we interview on this show comes from a certain industry, and as we all know, the world is changing so quickly now. What's happened in your industry? What are some challenges that you might face? What are you seeing in the future? How are you folks adapting as you think about today's landscape?
That's a great question. The insurance industry has really gone through some tremendous changes over the past few years due to really global events. What people don't realize is the reinsurance market is driving a lot of insurance prices up. In other words, fires that happen in California or Hawaii, they're affecting our premiums because insurance companies have to buy reinsurance. And reinsurance is a global market that every insurance company has to pay for. It's really a safety net. So if they can't pay their claims, they have another resource to pay claims. So this reinsurance, hurricanes in Florida, all these events are impacting our premiums, even though we have nothing to do with these claims. But that's passed on because of the reinsurance. And that is probably the most dramatic, I think, issue. And because insurance companies have to pick and choose how they want to write their policies. So they have to pick and choose how they want to, get reinsurance and what they want to afford, and then they pass it on to the insured. So thankfully, our insurance companies, we have some great markets in Massachusetts that they know the marketplace, they get the best rates for us, and also hopefully coastal restrictions, we're able to work with them. So we're very thankful from that perspective. Compared to other agents throughout the country there's a lot of issues. And Massachusetts, for the most part, is a fairly stable insurance market, but the premiums are not cheap.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to add, Connor? Any other things you've seen and you're kind of staying aware of as you navigate forward here?
I think it's just homeowner insurance companies are starting to protect themselves a little more and starting to become a little more picky, a little more restrictive. And where we live pretty close to the coast. So a lot of home insurance companies, they might be choosing to elect to not take a policy out so it's kind of up to us to explain it to our client, here's what's going on, this is the reason why, but it's not just that, but also offer a solution. And that's been a big challenge because just the insurance companies tightening up with the cost of reinsurance. As Rick mentioned, it's made for definitely a challenging year in insurance.
But it sounds like you folks provide a lot of education and advocacy for your clients to make sure that they get what they need and they're familiar with the landscape.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody at home, we're just going to break for about 2 minutes here. We invite you to watch a short video that really highlights some of the people in our Rotary Club and all the great projects we've worked on in recent years. We'll see you back in a minute on the other side. Thank you.
We raise a lot of money for Beverly organizations.
And they bought us our refrigerated van.
They made a significant contribution to the restoration of Ellis Square.
They helped us house a family experiencing homelessness.
They bought us our bookmobile.
They were actually the first ones to donate instruments to the high school band.
They bought oxygen masks for our rescue dogs.
They helped buy our school bus.
They fund the annual Brad Gage Ice Cream Social at Lynch Park every summer, and they even scoop the ice cream.
Since 2014, they've supported the Cabot, funding preservation of this historic gem.
They helped to fund the Council on Aging van.
They were a major donor to our new infant-toddler playground.
They bought an emergency generator for Harbor Lighthouse.
We funded and built the gazebo.
And we've got a green thumb.
A lot of green thumbs.
A lot of green thumbs.
Not to mention sculptures.
We planted more than 100 trees last year.
They donated a shuttle bus stop that brings veterans to the VA hospital in Bedford.
We're going to buy a water drone to clean plastics out of Beverly Harbor.
They make a big difference for United Way.
We give up to 8 scholarships.
8 scholarships every year since the mid-1980s.
And I was a recipient, and thanks to their help, I was the first in my family to go to college.
It's more than just a local organization.
There are 33,000 clubs
in 200 countries with 1.2 million members worldwide.
All that good adds up.
Those do-gooders just keep doing good.
We funded 13 wells in Kisumu, Kenya, bringing water to 13 schools.
We contributed to Kalusha School in Pakistan, and later to the construction of a fabulous women's college.
Hi, I'm Izzy Polito. I'm Mirabella Polito. I'm Andrea Polito. And we're all youth exchange students.
We started the youth exchange program 13 years ago, partly because I was also an exchange student in 1979.
I'm Aku. I'm from Finland. They hosted me as exchange student.
We funded Dr. Gordon Sato of Hamilton, who devised a way to grow trees in salt water in Senegal, Mauritania, and Eritrea.
Our club has funded at least 20 life-changing surgeries around the world.
And we've participated as non-medical volunteers
in the Philippines,
in Bolivia,
and Venezuela.
And remember,
since launching the Polio Plus campaign over 30 years ago, the number of polio cases worldwide has dropped 99%.
In 2019, clubs in the district joined the Polar Plunge to eradicate polio. The clubs raised $90,000.
Can we get back to Beverly, please?
Over the past 10 years, we've raised, probably about $100,000. Try $400,000.
Over the past 10 years, we've raised over $1 million.
I have made some wonderful friends.
It's downright inspiring.
It's an important part of my week.
It's a very important part of my week.
Sometimes it's the best part of my week.
It's one of the best things I do.
Even if people still ask about the secret handshake.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. And again, welcome to our guests, Rick and Connor Mooney. And before I get into my next question, we're going to get into the Rotary phase of your lives. But before I get into that, I just want to pick up on something that you said earlier. You both said earlier. You talked about the service, that when I asked you what makes you different, what makes you unique. And I can speak directly to that because these guys are my insurance people and have been for years. And there's been a couple of issues, and I am not the best client you want to have. So there's been a couple of issues that these guys have taken care of for me, and you've done it so well and so professionally, and problem got solved in a timely manner. So I personally want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Rotary. I'm going to start with you, Rick.
Yeah.
You've been a Rotarian for quite some time now.
Yes.
So let's kind of go back to the early days.
Oh my goodness.
What got you involved in Rotary? Who was your sponsor? How did that all kind of come about?
Oh my God! We go back. Well, I was introduced to Rotary in 1995. Dan Clemis was my sponsor, and that was the era of some incredible Rotarians. Alex Michaud, we had Stan Mikulski, General Patton. It was just such an era. So when I was introduced to the club, it was myself and Sandy Gove. We were the young guns. We were literally, I was Connor's age. I had hair like Connor. So literally my first week of Rotary, I walk in, Sandy is the secretary. And he says, Rick, you want to help me? I says, what are you talking about? He says, just sit down. He says, okay, sure. So I sit next to Sandy. Literally, I got introduced as becoming the assistant secretary of Rotary. So within 1 week, I'm already going to board meetings, being introduced to everybody, thrown into it. And to make matters worse, Sandy gets this laptop. He goes, Rick, I got this laptop. He says, oh, really? That's nice. So, well, I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to load up every member's data on this thing. Now, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, all right, so I have 3 young children. A newborn, Juliana, she was just born in 1995, Chris and Connor. I'm bringing this thing at home, loading up all this detail, and Sandy and I had a lot of fun, and there was so many great moments. We were, back then, as we can all attest, we were at the Commodore. Mike Frangos was a gracious guest of the club because every week there was shenanigans. And I tell you, when I say shenanigans, we had Barry Sullivan bringing in pizzas into the Commodore. We had more fun. Alex Michaud every week would stand up and, proclaim something, and, we had a lot of fun. And that was really the era it was an important era because there were 3 women in the club at that time. I think Doreen, Kim, and Helen Lowenstein. And having women in the club was such a new thing, right. And it was such a great introduction, and God bless them. I mean, it was, up until that point, it was a male-driven club, and they came in, and since then, you look at our club now, and we have so many great women, and it's really the women that help run the club, and I'm thrilled to be part of that whole transition from that, the older club to really a very youthful club and diverse club now, which I've seen over the years, and I just love how it's progressed over the over the history of the past maybe 20, 30 years, and how we're keeping up with really what's important, with the community.
For sure. And let me ask you the same question, Connor. When you became involved, I guess I know who your sponsor is, but
actually, he was not my sponsor.
Was not.
No. News.
No.
This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. So, go ahead. How did you get involved?
Well, so it started by when I was originally working with, when I first started working with Sterling, Rick would bring me to the lunches. And at first, I just looked at it as like, oh, nice, it's a way to get out of the office for a little bit. I still look at it that way, but there's more to it. So as I went more and more, I started to enjoy it more and more. The faces became more familiar. I started remembering people's names, and it started to become something that I look forward to every week. So then I would start to think, I'm like, maybe it makes sense to be a member of my own. So Matt Blanchard was actually, he was my sponsor. And I joined in probably like 2017, I want to say. And it really has become, it still is one of my favorite parts of the week, those weekly lunches, just seeing those familiar faces. You look forward to talking with those people every single week.
Absolutely,
and,
yeah. That's so cool. Well, thank you for that. Getting back to you, Rick, committees. Tell us about your specific involvement in committees, what you get involved with leading up to your presidency.
Well, I was pretty much involved with a lot, including being secretary, which thank God we have Jackie. And Jackie, what she does is absolutely amazing.
It is,
So I was secretary for many years, and Doreen came in, and then we transitioned, and Jackie got involved. And as far as committees, I think I was pretty much on every single committee, whether it be finance, Paul Harris, you name it, membership over the past 20, 30 years. And they're all very rewarding, and by being on the committees, you get to get an appreciation of different aspects of the club, whether it's an international issue or whether it's a local issue, because we are an international club, and people forget that. So even being involved with Polio Plus, there's so many different aspects of Rotary, and our club is, I think, very unique and one of the most entertaining clubs that anybody has ever experienced.
Sure.
When I go to events, or when I used to go to, district events, they all looked at the Beverly Club as the club. Like, how are you guys doing this? You're so strong. You have great sense of humor. I mean, we have guys, Brian Murphy, Bob Murphy. We have people like yourselves that are just very engaged with the community, and we do things with a purpose. We have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we get a lot of great results, and we're able to give back to the community in so many different ways. And
what year were you president?
2014.
2014, you were
right.
president.
Yes.
Terrific. Well, I just want to, for a second, just get the same question to you, Connor.
Yeah.
Committees, involvement. I believe, if my mind serves me correctly, you are our incoming president.
I'm next in line to be president, absolutely.
I love it.
And there's just so many great role models in the club, and it's just, you talk to all the past presidents, and you kind of just, you're able to follow their lead, and they're just incredible resources and incredible contacts to have, and it's a big honor to become a Beverly Rotary president, and I'm not taking it lightly by any means. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's going to be a great year, and I'm definitely looking forward to the challenge.
And we're looking forward to you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have young presidents and young people in our club. Hey, both of you guys, Al referenced earlier, aside from Rotary, both of you gentlemen have been very, very involved in the community, both personally and through Sterling. Just give us a sense, both of you, some of the things aside from Rotary that you've been involved in that you feel kind of good about.
So one of our favorite annual events is the bike rodeo in the Beverly Homecoming, where we work with the Beverly Police Department, and we help hand out bike helmets. This is also along with the Kiwanis Club in Beverly too, but it's something that Sterling Insurance Agency takes great pride in. One of my favorite events that I've done, service projects, I did it with Matt Blanchard, was a paddleboard beach cleanup where we rented paddleboards, and people would show up and they would paddle along the Danvers River down by Aubert Park, and we would pick up trash, and we found so much more trash than we were planning on. We had to call the city to have them haul everything away. We couldn't believe how much trash was in there. So that was a good feeling that I'd love to bring that back at some point.
That's awesome. How about you, Rick?
As far as personal things?
Well, just in terms of activities either you or the agency have got involved in around town, different boards you've sat on or initiatives you've been involved in.
Yeah, so I take great pride in one thing that we did a few years ago. I'm involved with this band, Chin Friction, and we did an ALS event for the Frady's family and Pete at the Cabot, and that was a win-win. We literally filled the Cabot, and we were able to raise some both awareness and also a lot of money for the Frady's and their organizations. I was very proud of that. Being, you know, and I don't know if you've heard of our band Chin Friction, but we've been around since 1985, and we've had a lot of fun. We play at different events. Recently, we played at Chianti's for a Kiwanis event, and no, it's good to get back in that way too. So there's a lot of crossover between both working, playing, and being involved with different people in the community. So I don't know, probably rambling at this point, but that's one thing that we do. But that's pretty much it.
And you were also a member of the Booze Brothers Band, which was
my goodness, legendary,
a legendary Rotary band.
Yeah,
world renowned. Yeah.
God bless Don Kelly. He was the team leader in that. Joe Broderick, Jamie Engel, Matt Piacker, myself, Bill Beckman. We had so much fun, and that was one of the things we put together during my year. You know, when we had an event that you ran actually at the Damersport. So
yeah, that was terrific.
That was a great time.
Good times.
What would you, if you guys are involved in a lot of stuff, you've got a business going on, past president Rotary, incoming president Rotary, if you had to sum up the top 2 or 3 things about the community that you enjoy most in a couple of sentences, let me start with you, Rick. What would that be?
What I enjoy about the most in the community? I would say just the day-to-day conversations I have with, sometimes just walking down the street. You see people that you haven't either seen in a while or you've been involved with in the past for different events, and they thank you or they want to know what are you up to, and just having those conversations. That's one of my favorite things, even just going to Rotary. It's the small conversations that you have. It's building those relationships, bonds over the years. I think that sense of community, to sum it up, is probably the biggest thing. You can live anywhere in the world, but when you come back here and you're able to connect with people and really have some great relationships, friendships, that to me is number one. I don't know what else that can top that. You know, it's the love and the friendship that you have here.
Great answer.
That's awesome. Hey, if anyone that follows you and Joanna on social media, we've seen that you've had some incredible trips in recent years, all over the globe, weaving some fitness into adventure.
Yeah.
What are maybe 1 or 2 of the favorite places, the most memorable places the 2 of you have been?
Boy, it would have to start with our honeymoon. We went to Angel Falls in Venezuela, which was absolutely amazing. We flew in this little airplane, and I didn't think we were going to make it out of there, to be honest with you. But that was probably one of my most favorite, travel adventures. But recently we were just in Scotland. But we have a lot of fun. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on that. But
no, that's quite all right. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the both of you for joining us. This is kind of a neat and a unique thing for Mike and me to talk about past Rotary and where the future's going from our age perspective. And then future Rotary, where you're going to take it beginning next year. So thank you, Rick, and thank you, Connor Mooney, Sterling Insurance Agency, for being here today. And thank all of you for watching. If you want more information about all the great things that our Beverly Rotary Club is doing, please check us out at www.beverlyrotaryclub.org. Thank you for joining us.